Hey guys, it's Ben here from Second Dynasty. I would have gone live 10 seconds ago, but Albin had to crack a joke. It was pretty funny. He just said, I just have one more question. What are we looking at? What is this? Let's get into that soon. I just thought we'd give it a few minutes. Hopefully everyone can hear me. It looks like my audio is coming through fine. My picture is coming through fine. Yeah. Woot indeed. Hello to Solo Spirit. Kathy's here. Hey, you made it this time. Awesome. Thank you. Great photo. It is old, but yeah. Who's kidding? Hey, Shergel, Neil, John is here. Shergel is here. Clive is here. Will Richards, Brian, Tamsin. We've got a nice little group of people here.
Nice.
And of course we have Albin in the background. Eric is here. Yeah, it's almost like you just have to post something in the chat if you want me to say hi. What are we doing this week? Well, on Monday we have our Frontiers launch for Aesir Fleet. You can kind of tell from the lighting that spring is here. John will be happy. He's coming back next week. Just in time for Easter. Or just in time to be ignored completely because it's Easter. And yeah, we have lots going on. The main thing being that our rollout for the 5th Frontier War is ready. We have all but one miniature out for the 5th Frontier War now. John just pushed an update. Also has some scheduled details for the physical prints. We, of course, are a little concerned with the tariff situation, but we have no idea what it's going to be like in July when things start getting pushed out. Because our product is being made in the United States. I think we're going to have some options so that if it doesn't work for you or if it's insane, yeah, we'll work with you guys if you're one of the physical pledges to try and make things make sense for you. Before we get stuck into this, I think maybe we can just look at last week's models because I was streaming from home. And that meant that I couldn't actually show off how cool the Geiru Gadra is. So we have the default version here. I really like how this thing looks from different angles. It has a few gnarly features. One of my favorite being we've got the these engines which can move up and down. So similar to the Vampiron, I mean. You got your missiles, new type of missile compatible with all our missiles. You got underside turret. And the idea being that this thing screams into the battlefield, drops its payload, and then tries to scream out of there again. And one of the ways it does this is by, as it turns around, it's got this nice little point defense turret, but these ones can swing back around to the rear of the craft and provide some support fire for any would-be chasers. Very proud of the fact that this thing is completely support-free. I think it's a gnarly little alien fighter. I kind of based the design aesthetic on the Zentradi and the Gamulus of anime fame, I guess, from the Macross and Yamato universes. And yeah, I think it came out really well. I do have a table full of these things, which is what John's going to be probably met with next week. We have like, here's one, here's another one, right? Let me gather these. I'm trying to mirror here. Here's another one. That's just the vanilla ones. Various stages of development. There is a lot of prototyping that goes on when you see the flaws in the wings or there's a misprint. that's just the regular kinds. Now I've got to be careful not to mix up the good one. I guess it's the one with all of the missiles on it. The other ones didn't have all of them. And then we have the special Friends of Benjamin version, which has these awesome Regault style missile pods on these struts here. Technically, you could use the same clip holes to just put more guns in. I don't know if anyone's tried doing that yet, but I really enjoy this model. Oh, it's missing a gun. That's weird. Oh, maybe this is an earlier prototype. Yeah, actually, look, you can see from the deformed wing here that this is a prototype. So, geez, what's going on with that finger? Anyway, it almost looks like some kind of cybernetic. It must have been pressed into a keyboard or something, I don't know. So, this is the finalized version, rather. I think they came out really cool. And I it's been a while since I've really enjoyed playing with the toys I make. Because the top pops off, you just pull it up. And we even had a new sort of more alien style cockpit. Love it. So yeah, if you haven't gotten this month's Tribes goodies, consider it. Of course, if you do want this version, it is on... it'll be available next month. Yeah. So, we're not quite ready to talk about what next month's tribe is, but I just thought I'd show that off. And, yeah, let's see. What we're actually going to be doing today is some of the more boring work that we do here at Second Dynasty. There's plenty of stuff that's cool, creative, but when we finalize the design and make it printable, we do have to go through, make a bunch of build plates so it's easy for you guys to, you know, actually get things going. Like, for example, here are 2 decks from the Nidhogg. This is deck 5, so I've gone from deck 13 all the way up to deck 5 now. This will be done in time for Monday. I think, well, not I think, we're going to have all ships aside from Ratatosk ready for Monday. And hopefully Ratatosk towards the end of next week. Well, actually, it's Easter, so I don't want to make promises I can't hold. But yeah, there is this process of mapping out, because there's going to be months before we have full instructions for all 6 ships from Aesir Fleet. It does require poor old John importing all the STL files, or rather the FBX files for the ships into 3DO, converting them, creating instructions, and then Liselot would make the PDFs from the exports. So it is quite a process to get there. And the reason why I'm not working on Persephone today is because we just need to get this out there. We feel like, look, you'll have renders, you'll have these build plates which print everything that you need, and then just reference pictures to put them together. The plates are even organized in such a way that it's by deck and these components, so you should be able to relatively quickly sort out and build deck by deck, and then not be left with a bunch of parts where you have no idea where they go. That's the idea. Let's see. People are typing in the chat, so please stop launching the microphones into the microphone. Sorry, guys. Hey, Sam. Hey, Mon Capitan. Swooshable, says Brian. Nice. John says, I do not like your build plates. Tall items should be more in the center. I don't care, John.
I was just about to drink.
At this point, it's like, you gotta build, if you want to rearrange it so it works better for you, great. But 13 decks. Albin's been on this for weeks. Yeah. No, you're undoubtedly right, John. You're undoubtedly right. As you are.
Why isn't there an AI for this?
But there is. It's John AI.
Ah.
Yeah, we're past the point of caring about that sort of stuff. Sorry, dude. You can chide us all you like next week. Shergul says, that way when one errant clip fails at the edge, you can remove it from the build without destroying swaths of parts. I mean, guys, what kind of printers do you have? I can't manage this. Honestly, jeez. Tall items on edges increases risks of warping. Anyway, like I said, if you guys want to rearrange it, and hey, honestly, these are built for the Bamboo A1 Mini. So presumably, if you want to open this up in any other printer with a larger build plate, you just do an auto arrange, and hopefully it will do something similar to what John is suggesting. And yes, the heat distribution tends to be warmer at the center of the plate, so yeah, warping could be more of an issue. I'm not denying that John has a point. I'm just saying, bug it if I'm going to change it. Not going to happen. Maybe we can focus on it a little bit. Some of the build plates I've tried to make where it literally looks like the deck you're building. But we're actually about to start on a new level, but we have to get some modeling out of the way first. Oh, and there was one more thing I wanted to mention. In the link, I did put up a dummy page for Persephone. It was kind of, in a way of forcing me to do the campaign, because I feel like if I don't do it this year, I'm never going to do it. I think we might have a better idea about what the rest of the year looks like in a couple more weeks. Once John's here, we'll probably plan a little bit more, I think. But at the moment, what I'm doing is I want to make sure everyone has the newest of the new of the parts that we have, so that they're the best of the best. So here we have the torpedo launcher. In the upper decks, we had these nice channels and extra detail. This is like the Ratatosk version, which has a bit of extra framing in it. It just looks cool. It's not even seen really. It's on the inside of the ship. But it does make the part look more interesting and cool. These, however, do help keep the torpedo tubes or torpedo ammunition in place so that they're not just wobbling around everywhere. They're still going to be a little bit loose, but in a more segmented way that makes sense, I think. Okay, so what I'm trying to achieve here is finding some parts from. I've ripped all of this geometry off another piece further up on the hull, and I just want to get this side sorted out. So I think we need like another one of these things on the side there, just so that it should hold that torpedo in place. And I think too, this thing probably needs to be on a bit more of an angle. I'm just going to orient it there, push that back to there. Why didn't that work? Why doesn't anything work? Let's see. And I think we'll just... Let's see. It should be closer to 22 degrees here, maybe. That looks more manageable. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Currently, on the plate in the printer room is the Herna. Sorry, Herna. Herna is the modern Swedish version of it, which means the hen. And I might just copy these over to get a better idea about where there should be one on the opposite side. So this is like a dirty trick of sorts. Actually, I did it wrong. What we want is, let's see, one there and one there. So we need two of those side by side. Do we have any left? We do not. I've moved all the things out of the way. All right, we're just going to do a manual movement then, I think. So these are in about alignment with theirs, so let's move this forward. So that is the smaller ship we built based on the sphere, the Hyperion sphere. which is a cool little design, and it's starting to look really inviting, I think. Let's see, let's move this over to maybe here, no, there. It's a bit wide. Maybe what we could do is put this in the middle of there, and then if we move this pivot point to there, and then have it match there, that should be equidistant. Which I think is okay, although I have a sneaking suspicion. Now that looks lined up. Alright. We're gonna assume that's right. And then I'm just gonna delete all of this extra stuff. I am going to center the pivot there. I'm gonna delete the history, and we're gonna mirror this in the, let's say it's red, so that means the X, like so. And then I just, looking at this model, ooh, that's interesting. That's not centered at all. What is going on there? That's matching by the looks of things. But that's, what? How is this even possible? Like the middle part looks right, but the outsides do not. Question is, where is the error? That looks like an error. Which means that this is an error over here. Because technically, okay, you can see some of these match up and some don't. And it looks like this is the problem here, that's not aligned to there.
Have you tried the mirror tool?
Is that a joke?
It actually works kind of nice nowadays.
So there are some issues with some of these parts, but we're going to just get rid of what we already have here. So, just wanted the opposite side, and it looks like we have aligned this a little bit incorrectly. That looks right, that looks right, this looks okay now. This one is incorrect. That's what I think was causing us a bit of an offset, because that's meant to be there and back here. So it's alright with a bit of intersection here. We're really looking at the final models. Let's see. Phoebix, the cook on Phoebix, the cook on Voyager after the transporter accident. That was 2 Vix, yes. Which I think actually improved both characters. Neelix was so bloody annoying. Alright, so that looks like it's pretty much aligned now. And we can combine these. And then it's disappeared because we don't have that as an isolated object. Now, there will be some modification that we need, but I think the next step is actually to push this upwards with a copy, and this model is going to be the basis for all of our what do we call it? The basis for all of our
Torpedo launchers?
Thank you, Albin. Jeez. It is Friday. I don't know why we stream on Fridays. It's the stupidest day to stream. It's like when no one's brain is working. Or at least no one in this office. So we want these flaps still there, but the bases will take out. Oh, they were combined. Okay. What are we going to do? I don't think we actually need these. So we're going to take them out because the bottom will align things. Oh, what is that? Well, that's some built-in... Okay. That was already there from the start. So it's like not a perfect approximation, it's just adding a little bit more detail. and then we can kind of just move on with it. So let's isolate that, and I think we need to start moving a few things. They look like they will print okay as is. Although that's floating in the air, so I think this one has to come back. Yeah, that one isn't actually where it's supposed to be. So we better make sure that all of these are pulled back correctly. Like so. So yeah, it's just a case of getting all of this ready for prime time. Easier said than done when you have 6 ships to get ready plus a bunch of stretch goals. I think the rollout should be fairly quick. The biggest annoyances are probably where we've only got a very limited concept to work off of. But for example, this is going to print flat as is, so what we need to do is kind of pull down the bases here of, let's get a side view. So you can kind of see here that these are all long, and the reason they're long is because we want to bring this all the way down to the bottom. Now this was based off of a model that wasn't sized for this one. It's the upper decks. We'll probably have a look at that in a second. And while I'm here, I will probably also show you guys what has become of the decks where we worked on. Let's see. I think I'm just going to leave those wedges in. I know it's not 100% aesthetically correct to do so, but this provides a little bit of bracing, and also it's a bit busier, looks more interesting than just having empty tubes. You do love the new Benchati fighter, not in the tribe currently, but may consider buying it on its own. I can hook you up with that. The Tuvok actor was also in Spaceballs quoted as, "We ain't found shit." Yep. True. Also here, I think it was in Star Trek. Was it Star Trek 5 or 6? 6, I think. Like in the William Shatner era. You made an FPX joke. Okay, so that's that level. And Coke, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine. I'm fine, Mom. Don't worry. Okay, so all of these need to be dragged down to just to the base level. And this will ensure that they have contact with the floor, either the floor or the print bed in some cases, because it is not at the same level as it is with where this model originally came from. The other parts, because they should be angled. Ooh, we missed one. We've got to get this little guy and this little guy. I don't know why it turned into a kiwi, but still. Oh no, these guys. We need these guys too. Alrighty, a little bit harder to grasp. So, yeah. It isn't the most fun work, to be honest. I mean, it wouldn't be called work if all of it was fun. And we will probably get one or two things wrong too, because these are very complex models. I have no idea how many STL files we have in Aesir Fleet. They're not all unique, but I'd say would probably be approaching 1,000.
Yeah, probably.
So I don't know. I guess it was a bit of a crazy campaign doing the most ships we've ever done. I think it's because some of the ships would have just been stretch goals in the past, and we already did Let's see, did we get all of them? No, we're missing one there. So, I don't know. I just wanted to create value for money for returning backers. But I also kind of appreciate that in the middle of like a financial crisis, maybe doing a campaign that's so expensive and has so many ships was not so nice for people's wallets. But we really appreciate the support, because those funds, I can tell you, they go directly into supporting Persephone. And I know I said that about Soul Survivor, but yeah, if I'm being honest, at the time, a ship the size of Persephone just needs a lot more funding than that. So this will go a long way. And then we can combine these together. And now we get to the fun part, which is naming. So if I go to the level above, this is just... this is the level below. So I was just preparing for deck 4. I just got done with deck 5. God, that looks a bit strange. What's happening there? I wonder if that is...
I think that's the
print
3D
issue.
program. That's.
Yeah, it is. It is, because it looks fine here. This is the version that we have, which is currently called Torpedo Launcher Revision Base, and we need to fix this so it's level 1. Actually, thinking about it, level 2 should probably be the way we think about this, because all of these ships we've started with deck 1 at the top, so it's like a reverse skyscraper. So let's export this to deck 4, not deck 5. So let's find the folder. And there we go with the name, Torpedo Launcher Revision Level 2. Eventually I'll copy these into their own folders, because depending on the ship, the way that we handle PDCs and the torpedo tube launchers is, yeah, it depends on who made it, basically. So let's see, export. Uh-oh. That's always a great sign when the the autosave decides to go at the same exact moment as your export. But it worked. And what I'm really concerned about with these, let's call this one level 1 and export this one into our deck 3 plans. So I'm getting closer to finishing this. Whoops. There we go. Level 1. And then the top part we can work on later. So mainly, the main thing for now is I want these STL, well, not STL files even, these are just the geometry files to make sure that they're where they're supposed to be in with the rest of the Nidhogg. Not sure how far down the nose section is meant to go. Let's see. That's Ratatosk, Nidhogg, deck 3 is considered there. Alright, so this one really should be in the midship section. Alright, this is more about categorizing where the files are going to be found in our scene, which is incredibly complex and large at this point in time, as you can rightly see. Before we go too much further, I'd like to actually go back way down to the bottom and show you guys what the lower decks now look like on Nidhogg, because the interior didn't previously exist. Whoa, let's turn off all the top stuff here. There's so much going on. Alright, we still need to reorganize some of those files into the correct folders, but for now, we now have a functional fusion drive. This is actually a hollow. It does have the old battery holder in case you want to stick a battery in there. Although I think maybe you would need 2 coin cells if you're going to operate 7 lights on this thing. Not sure if we do have a piece yet to hold the light. Hey, it looks like we're missing an engine light. Maybe we need to duplicate that up. Or maybe it is hidden on a different layer. No? Doesn't look like it. Alright, let's move that over. And we want our grid snapping on. Let's see. Russ was in Star Trek Generations and an episode of Next Generation. There you go. He played his ancestor, Zuvok. DS9 was the last Star Trek series that I enjoyed and watched the whole of. Yeah. Yep. Well, actually, I enjoyed Voyager, but it definitely... Look, Star Trek is one of those things where some episodes I like to put on because they make me think and I enjoy them, or the sci-fi action, and then there are other episodes that I put on because I want to go to sleep. Voyager, TNG, those are both, hit and miss with episodes. But I would agree, modern Trek is it's a dumpster fire. And the main issue I have with it is Gene Roddenberry's vision has been lost completely. It's supposed to be a utopian future where humanity can work together against all odds. Instead, they made it about interpersonal drama and conflict. And sadly, I think we need more TNG today than ever. We need that modern version so that we can sort of... We need the utopian vision again, because it just feels like we're living dystopia right now. This is the top of the fusion core. We've got this nifty little machinery. It's mostly inspired by some of the fusion drive parts from Astronauts. So I kind of used that as a basis, like used some of the design language, I guess, and sort of extrapolated from there. We have the actual tip of the core, we've got a pellet feeder, and we have some battery chargers over here, as well as your standard engineering walls. You have a hatch here to access the core if you need to. Next level up, we've got our workshop. Man, that one camera is rather annoyingly big. Let's how about we scale these down? That shouldn't affect too much, and we'll keep it out of our viewport. This is the last level that you can get your cargo down to. All right, so there is a little storage area there for the workshop. I guess here you would put extra sort of tiles and hole patches, that sort of thing. Next level up, we have the med bay. This was a cargo bay, and then I realized, oh, we don't have a med bay. So I converted it, and it gets its own little vestibule here. Of course, you don't have to print it this way. It's just an option. There is some customization you can do. Let's see. Enterprise had good spots. I haven't actually seen more than 1 or 2 episodes of Enterprise. I heard it got better in the later seasons. Babylon 5 was great. I haven't seen the whole thing, but so probably most of season 4 and 5, which is when I was a teenager and it was on television. The graphics today are difficult to look at. Babylon 5 outclassed them all. Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably. Enterprise is better when skip intro was added. I found the controversy with DS9 and B5 interesting. Oh yeah, that's right. They kind of copied it, didn't they? The major disappointment with Babylon 5 is the financial meddling that squashed season 4. And Warner's pretty much killed season 5 because they couldn't be bothered with it. Yeah, shame. Hopefully it gets a BSG style reboot at some point. I think the actors are pretty much aged out at this point. It's kind of like Firefly. You could maybe do it now, but another 5 years and you're done, right? Or you're just making like the motion picture again, I guess. The interpersonal drama started in TNG, but it's been turned up to 11 in Kurtzman Trek. The thing is, the drama in TNG was built to talk about topics and things, the drama in Kurtzman Trek is there for drama. And it's also there as a crutch. And the science is completely gone. Everything is bells and whistles and, oh, look over here and look how brave and good this character is. The best way to change hearts and minds is not to, like, even say that, you know, not that I believe it, but that there's some kind of social justice agenda out there trying to get people all to change the way that they, you know, their views and things to make it more liberal or whatever. If you want to go for the biggest conspiracy version of things, I think it's all based on who the showrunner is and what they believe in. But there is a lot of that stuff being shoved down people's throats. TNG and Star Trek didn't shove it down people's throats. They just showed. The best way to enact change is to show a better way and why it's a better way, not to say, hey, you're wrong, now take this. It's just the way to, you know, get people on board is just to show, to normalize the things you want to talk about and to speak around the issues without it offending people in the sense of someone saying, hey, morally, I don't agree with you, I think you're wrong, and put people off. And Kurtzman Trek does that. It's over-dramatized. Nothing against the actors. I think they do their darndest, but I keep coming back to, there's an episode of She-Hulk, another series that's controversial for similar circumstances. And in the final episode, spoilers, She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall completely and goes into the Marvel Studios writer's room. And the writer's room has like 20 people writing what's going to be on the series. That's what's wrong. One person, 2 people can write an episode of Star Trek or something. You don't need all of these other people getting involved in it. It's better to have a single person running it. And if that means you can only have 4 or 5 episodes a season, I'd much rather that than the shit that they put out there. And they wonder why, you know, like, these brands are languishing. It is writers that don't know shit about what they're making. Put a freaking Star Trek fan in charge of Star Trek. How hard is it? Anyway, rant over. Can't beat Doctor Who or Blake 7 that you grew up with. You mean old Doctor Who, because the new Doctor Who is suffering from the same thing.
Don't worry. Let's talk another one.
Yeah, this episode is just like, what television don't you like? It honestly has nothing to do with the actors. It's not even the subject matters. It's the way it's presented. Yeah. And I do kind of feel like since the Capaldi Doctor, or Jodie Whittaker maybe, Jodie Whittaker in particular, it became a lecture every episode. And it's just like, this isn't freaking Doctor Who. Doctor Who's meant to be a kids program about adventure in time and space. And, you know, it did become more dramatized. And I you know, David Tennant period, like, I mean, every time I even think of that final episode where he regenerates, and it says, like, I don't want to go, I don't want to tear up thinking about it. But, like, that was good TV. And, you know, I think the message there wasn't lost. But, yeah, it really suffered from the change in writers. And, you know, I like Russell T Davies, but, and you know, he's made some fantastic shows. Got a cargo bay here that hasn't changed. It's just been updated.
Oh, that was a big flash. I thought you were talking about the cargo bay show or something first.
No, and he's made some fantastic shows that I really have enjoyed. Like, and you know, wouldn't have thought I'd enjoyed either. But at a certain point, it's like, it doesn't always feel like the episodes are made for everyone anymore. Like, I don't know, I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think you just need good writing. Just rewatched BSG, the new one. I hadn't got to the last series before, and it was a bit of the last season was during the writer's strike in 2005. It was disappointment. The whole Kara Thrace thing is like, what? It kind of turned from really engaging dramatic television, which was like a commentary on the Iraq War and insurgencies, to I don't know, like an episode of Passions, which was a really trashy soap opera when I was like a teenager. We got our living quarters. It hasn't changed very much. It's just more printable now. Next level up. I'm not actually going to fix that yet because I want to just attach these models to the correct section. So we need that, and that. And I'm going to talk about this in just a second. So let's move that to the middle deck, midship section. It's nice to hang out and just have a chat, you know. So we want to make sure all of this is in the correct layer. That needs to be in deck 5, I want to say. Could be wrong. But yeah, let's show deck 6. So this is our airlock level. And nothing has changed in that level. It's just making sure everything's printable. You miss episodic TV. Yes, I do too. I agree, Trevor, that For All Mankind is pretty interesting. Although, to be perfectly honest, since the end of the second season where they killed off a certain character, my heart hasn't been in it. Just, I feel like they lost the guts of that show a little bit. I've watched it all, and it's still engaging, and I really love the concept of, you know, a parallel universe version of the Cold War and the space race. Everything is better than Galactica 80. Yeah, I heard that was very low budget. You'd prefer Ronald D. Moore to focus on miniseries and not episodic television. Yeah, I don't know. Aren't they rebooting the reboot or something? And now we have the galley. So, we have, you know, when I got Albin to convert the Fenrir to start with to full printability with the build plates, I forgot that these planters wouldn't print very well in the orientation where they're standing up. They were designed to print on their back. Ironically, checking the prints, they actually survived really, really well. And the fact that it is, you know, plants, it's like this central plant here kind of provides support for this thing. But now I have divided it up into a section here that can plug into the side. The benefit it is, if you want to have a more like varied arrangement here, you can. And I think I'd like it, we were talking about it as a stretch goal, but to do like a set of these being a little bit more modular, maybe with its own custom floor as a sort of grid forge release. Here too, this is another sort of insert to just solve problems. I think the clips sometimes can actually add rather than take away by making them visible. Let's see. Enjoyed the beginning of the more BSG, but gave up after the second season when it became obvious that they were just making things up as they went along. Oh, like Lost? I don't know. BSG felt better than that, but I have to agree, it does get worse the further you get into it. I was still with it up until season 3, I think, and it was only halfway through season 4 when I realized, New Caprica was immensely boring. That sequence where they found a planet and were living under occupation, it just felt forced. I understand they were trying to parallel the Iraq War, but yeah, I don't know. It got boring. And then I know it's Battlestar Galactica, but come on, Pegasus. Alright, let's get this into the right layer. So let's just add this to deck 4 and this one here to deck 3. That should promptly disappear. And yeah, so what is on deck 4? It looks like we're up to the bridge finally. And so let's go through the process of seeing what we have. So this was deck 5, we've got our build plate. Let's go and make a new build plate. So let's just double check this is saved. Go File, New Project. This time we'll try and follow John's instructions. I'm just going to say hull there. And then we're going to go File, Save Project As. And again, these are with the Bamboo Mini. The idea being you should be able to pretty much drag and drop this to any print plate. And it should fit. That's the primary idea here. So I'm just selecting this to grab the name so I don't have to retype it. We want to go to deck 4. Just change this to deck 4. Save. And we've got our basics. So now the next stage would be to go up and I'm just going to disable a couple of layers below deck 4 because I just want to see what kind of tiles we actually need. So it doesn't look like we have the geometry in place, but it looks like we need a 3x1 grid forge space and we need a 2x2. So then I just go into my grid forge folders. Let's see, I select grid 3. We'll just point to, like, grid forge itself is a free thing. So we'll point people in that direction. Let's put that there. We want to make sure we've got large icons so we can kind of see what we're doing. I like to save this file as soon as we've got something in there. Right now, sorry, that's Ratatosk. We don't want that one. Let's just get the whole pieces in. And I'm not going to bring in that torpedo launcher yet because I like to actually use Prusa Slicer for fixing files. Part of it is just the fact that sometimes, this is Orca Slicer, sometimes when you export a file, it wants to rename the 3MF. It wants to save it as a 3MF instead of the original, piece. So I'm just going to go into Prusa Slicer. I'm going to clear all of this because this is just a bunch of files I've imported in as I've gone up deck by deck to get them print ready. And I'm just going to go in and grab what I know is an issue, and that is the torpedo tube launcher revision here. And part of it is it needs to be oriented correctly, which should bring us in this direction. And then the next part should be that we need to just, it has 4 open edges. It's not a serious issue. And you can kind of see where it's marked out there. Easiest thing to do is just to run the Windows repair algorithm here. And then once that's done, which takes an amount of time that varies greatly depending on the complexity of the geometry. I'd say this is a semi-complex object. Maya's auto-saving, I think. If we look at it in Maya, it is about 40,000 faces. So that will take a little bit longer. The next thing to do is to orient it. So in Prusa you want it facing forward. The only reason I orient, to be perfectly honest, is because in the folder, facing forward on the plate is what determines how the preview icon looks like. You can see here the descent thrusters here are facing the wrong direction. So what I might want to do is just import this in. The mesh is fine, but if I flip this 180 degrees and just export it again.
Oh, that's nice.
Like so, look at this. This is just like, that looks a lot nicer, right?
Mm.
And it's going to look different depending on how you're previewing these, but it's just like a little bit of to help the customer. Let's see. Oh right, the stream. Yeah, exactly, Sam. Neil says, Season 3 of the new BSG was a slog. Clearly they had no idea where it was going. Yeah, I really don't think they knew who the Cylons were. Trevor says, I think Apple TV is killing it in original content though. Mythic Quest for All Mankind, Silo, Severance, Shrinking, The Studio, Foundation, Morning Show, Monarch, Dark Matter. Dark Matter?
Is Dark Matter or something? Is like a...
I mean, Dark Matter was another sci-fi series, right? So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in there. I've also heard Prodigy, the animation is pretty good for Star Trek. I think it's mostly because the major studio heads just think, oh, animation, let's order it and forget about it, and then a bunch of fans end up running it.
Lower Deck, right?
Lower Decks and Prodigy, yeah. Strange New Worlds, also enjoyable. It is kind of like the cross between the Kurtzman Trek and old Star Trek. Dark matter was ancient on Sci-fi. Oh, alternate realities. I want dark matter back because it was it felt like Traveller. But anyway, it kind of felt like Traveller as if only one ship though had like a fold drive. I liked it. Even though it definitely kind of felt like what's that shitty production company that makes its money faking what is it, the Asylum. They make all these films that sound like other films. I don't know how that is a working business model for them this day and age, but all right, let's reload this geometry. It should face the right way now. Again, facing doesn't really matter, and but we're gonna do John a favor, and we're gonna try and get some of this geometry close to the middle of the print bed. And I'm just leaving enough of a gap here. That's probably also not that optimal. But, you know, I'm not trying to please John here. I'm just trying to please myself by avoiding insanity. So we need 2 of these. So I'm just going to clone. This is an annoying thing, right? You import something and it automatically rearranges. If you control Z, it takes it back a step. You've still got the clone in there. But if you lock the plate, that's not going to happen. So let's see, we might have enough room here. Let's just move this over a tad. And I'm, in general, looking to make a build plate for the hull and one for the flooring. The main thing we're missing here is that torpedo geometry. So let's see, we've got one side there, one side there, and I'm wondering why that is. So let's go back to Maya and have a look. So we've got a wall here with detail on it, and we've got one without. And I think what's happened is I have the older version in here where it just says PDC mount with this pattern in it. This would kind of fit into the sort of optional category, so I'm actually going to pull this one out of the folder and stick it in here for now. And we are instead going to delete that from here, and we're going to clone this one. And this time when I clone, note that it didn't rearrange my build plate. So there we go, we've got those tall objects towards the center of the plate, John. Yeah, Dark Matter 2015. I would have loved more seasons of that. But it was definitely low budget, but I thought it was interesting, at least. But yeah, it did feel kind of Asylum-y. The Asylum has done some good things. Their zombie series was also kind of interesting. Although I can't remember what it was called, but the Balaur.
Okay.
It gets crazy.
It isn't that Black Summer thing or something?
No. This was a while back. This might have probably been about 2015 as well, thinking about it. Alright, I'm going to create a second plate here, and we're going to start looking at what interior models we need. So here we do have a few bits and bobs we need to consider. I think the main models we are going to rip out of Fenrir.
Said Nation.
Yes, Said Nation.
Oh, that's crazy, yeah.
It is crazy. Why?
Because you got the Moon Man.
It's crazy. Yeah, okay. Yes.
Called.
So let's look at deck 1 here, and I think we should already have, the grid forge tiles we need. So looking at it, what we need is, let's go back to here. Actually, no, that's what we needed. So we need 4 different bases there. We were looking at changing up the way that we integrated these things. John had a good idea. Some of the angled corners became issues. I wouldn't have had these integrated if we'd have started this project today. But yeah, I think we need this ladder well base. We need a single here and there, so 3 singles. We need 1 double across there, and we need 4 of these chairs. So if we just go to Fenrir and grab the grid forge tiles we need, let's see, that should be it, those 4. Just copy those and stick them in here. They all should have names that are grid forge related rather than ship related. And then let's just drop these into our scene over here. And they're on the wrong plate for now, so let's switch active plates here. And I'm leaving a bit of room because I usually put the clips out depending on what we're missing. And I also kind of think we need, let's see, deck 4. And we really want to change this preview to large icons so we can get our torpedo. This thing is fairly large, not as big as I remember it being actually, so not too bad. All bands ranting about Star Trek is shown in to a T in lower decks. Okay, I'll have to check it out. You still want to make Sleipnir in NASA colors? Oh, well, I mean that's a paint job right there. Neil can get into dark matter. I get it. It looks cheap. The actors, it takes a little bit of time to grow. It's another series that kind of feels like they didn't know what it wanted to be at the start, and it's definitely, it feels more like a sci-fi, like Sci-Fi Channel production. Like circa early to mid 2000s. Like the June miniseries. Right, so this one I said we needed 4. So we need 3 clones. Oh, I forgot to lock the plate. There we go. And then I'm just placing these manually. I could probably just do an auto plate, but I want to keep the orientations. This one we needed 3 of as well. Okay. Actually, no. That's 1 too many copies. 3 total is what we needed. We also need the chairs. They should be in Fenrir. Let's see. And this is like the only part of our ship that needs supports, which is rather annoying, I have to admit. We should get the ladder too for the single deck there, and I think that's it for now. I'm sure there'll be more. See, we're starting to fill up the folder. The idea being that each deck should have everything except clips that you should need. So let's put this in here. And before I go making a bunch of copies of the chair, the trick will be to pre-support that. For this, at the moment we have no brim on. I'm going to see what it looks like with some mouse ears down the bottom. And then I'm just going to go into support here, enable support, and put tree manual. I think will probably be fine. And then we actually need to paint on where we want the supports. And the only place you should need to really support is under here. That would be the bare minimum. All of this is meant to be angled so it covers itself. I'm going to see how that looks by slicing. And when I'm happy with the results, that's when I will clone. Because if you clone before you put in all those settings, each clone is not going to have the settings and you're just going to be annoyed. So I think that should work all right. And that should represent... you might get a tiny bit of droopage there, but it's all so close together to the build plate anyway. I don't think it's going to make a difference. People might feel differently, but we'll see. Neil says, I'm currently straining my eyes while I paint the interior parts of Erebus. I'll take that as a compliment to mean that there's great detail in there. It's looking good. I reckon it will be done in about 3 weeks-ish. Wow, you'll have to share it with the community, Neil. Love to see how it's worked out. We've seen some fantastic Erebuses. I've yet to see someone who's done the full Typhon and painted it up. Kathy says Lower Decks is very American humor and it just doesn't hit right to me. I kind of understand that. Like, I think over time I've gotten more used to American humor, but definitely growing up, before the move to Sweden, I think, American humor was a lot harder to get into, especially slapstick. I don't know, it's weird. I enjoy Monty Python, which is just extremely silly, but then like Naked Gun, I just can't really get into it. Yes, it is awesome. The best ship you have done, I think. I think Erebus is definitely up there for sure. Each ship you kind of like able to be able to finish it. You really need to get into the design. Now, I'm probably going to be at this another half hour before I get this plate done. I do need to get it all done for Monday. Hoping that we can have some stretch goals in place as well. There's some really low hanging fruit there. It's just a matter of, converting the Maya files into STL files. And the beautiful thing about the stretch goals is most of them don't require instructions or build plates. We can just provide the parts as is. So they should go together pretty quickly. Let's see, you grew up with Carry On film. Oh, the Carry On films. Oh, yes. I don't think I've seen that many, but I remember as a kid seeing Carry On Columbus. But yeah, also, when I grew up at least, American culture was, I wouldn't say frowned upon, but it's more a case of... there are a lot of people that reminded you which country you lived in and that it wasn't America. And, sometimes, like, we'd get some tourists that did weird things. Like, I had a friend that owned an internet cafe, which dates me. But there was this American tourist that came in and just decided he could pay with American dollars instead of Australian dollars. In the end, the guy just accepted it because, it was $5 Australian, you got paid $5 American. That's like getting paid $8 for something that's worth $5. And he just, would save it for the next time he'd, go to the US or convert currencies or whatnot. So it kind of worked out. But I mean, it's pretty obnoxious to go to a different country and try to pay with American dollars. Like... yeah, it just, there's so many things you need to miss. And, I'm not saying it's every American. And to be perfectly honest, I've never met an American I didn't like in person. I've only had good experiences of them. But there have been some laughable moments of ignorance. I remember my wife, she had a friend who did an exchange year in America, and her host family had asked such questions as, do you have eggs in Sweden or polar bears? And the worst offender was, do you have thunder in Sweden? And that's kind of egregious. When you were in Kenya, they always asked if you had American dollars. I mean, there, clearly, it's more an economic thing. The American dollar is quite solid. But, I mean, Australia is, sorry to say, not the land of Crocodile Dundee. It's a first world country with, nearing 30 million people at this point in time, which is nuts for me to say because when I was a kid, it was 15 and a half. So the population's absolutely exploded. Yeah, anyway. This is bar talk at this point in time. So, thank you for joining me on the stream today. I think instead I'm actually going to, go home and grab a beer instead and just enjoy this really sunny afternoon. And I hope you guys have some nice weather yourselves, that you're enjoying this time of year, be it in the northern or southern hemisphere. We'll be back next week with yet another stream. I think it will be Persephone focused. We're probably going to focus a lot more next week on how we're going to build the ship in such a way that it can be filmed. And I'm thinking there's a double purpose there. Persephone is big. Like, as in, I think it's 105 centimeters long. Now, to be fair, probably about 7 or 8 of those centimeters is just like antennae. But it's like 2 foot wide and 15 inches high. And it's a big ship. It's going to be a heavy ship. Where are you going to have space for that? And maybe, just maybe, we could create a bracket and mount it from the ceiling is what I'm thinking. We shall see. Anyway, have a wonderful... Brian says, I'm still days away from seeing the sun again. Okay. Is that a weather thing, or are you stationed on a submarine? 2 feet wide. Where does the captain sit? In the captain's chair, of course. Anyway, guys, have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to leave you here. Bye for now. Bye.